All right. Hi, everybody. I am here today. I'm so excited for you to hang out with me and Sarah Williams. She is my friend in real life. So let me introduce you to her really quick before we dive right in. She currently lives in Hazlet, New Jersey with her husband and two young children. Fun fact, my daughter actually used to be their babysitter. She is the founder and CEO of Moms of Business LLC, otherwise lovingly known as the Mobs, which is a network of mom entrepreneurs that connect and collaborate on their journeys to success. She hosts several events across New Jersey each month. I've actually been to many of them. They are super fun to help provide platforms for mom to slay every day, make new friends, and make more money. So Sarah and I will tell you the funniness that just happened before we got started, and then we'll dive into our wheel of irrelevant questions. So Sarah's actually my first guest that we're recording with. So she may not be the first episode that you're listening to, but she's the first guest that we're recording with. And we just spent the last 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes, trying to figure out why she couldn't hear me. And we're plugging things in, plugging things out, doing all the settings. After about 10 minutes, I realized I had never turned my microphone on. And we've just been laughing about this now for the last 10 minutes that I'm like, what's wrong with this? This is wrong with technology. I feel like I should have, I'm not a boomer, but I feel like that's something that would qualify me for that, right? Like
Hard yes
yes,
to the boomer.
I just didn't turn the mic on. And then I'm like, I just bought this mic. What's wrong? So Sarah's dying over there laughing. And I don't even know where you are. You're in a hotel and you're buying the beach and you look very tan. So what's going on and why am I not invited?
I will take it and thank you. I'm in Atlantic City on a little last minute getaway with one of my mobsters because that's one of the perks of joining my community is I have some awesome friends, you included. So we did a little last minute getaway because we can.
Oh my gosh, you go to Atlantic City a lot. And it's funny because we both
I
live in New
do.
Jersey. And I have not been to Atlantic City in years. I actually just had a conversation with a friend of mine who says she goes down there all the time with her husband. And I'm like, but I don't gamble. What do you do there?
Oh, I don't gamble either. Actually, my girlfriend gambled, put 20 bucks in 180, and I'm like, I can't be bothered. And ironically, my sister runs the poker room at Harris, so go figure. But yeah, I just come here to shop, to have fun, great food, and best of all is people watching. So if you're from Jersey and you've ever been on a boardwalk, you know it's the best people watching there is.
Oh my gosh. So years ago, this is really fun. We have to get into our wheel, but we'll go off on a tangent. Years ago, I had a friend from Colorado. For those of you who don't know, I lived in Colorado for 10 years. One of my best friends had never been to New Jersey. I moved back to New Jersey. She had never been to New York. So she was like, oh, this is great. We're going to go to New York. I'll get to see New York. I'll get to see New Jersey, which was kind of fun for me because I did all the touristy things that I never would do living here. Like we
Right.
went to the Statue of Liberty, right? I'm like,
Yeah, we take it for granted.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I took her to Point Pleasant Beach, the Tiki Bar on Point Pleasant Beach. So, guys, if you're not from New Jersey, all the stereotypes that you have about New Jersey, magnify that and then put it on a beach. And I kid you not, she was walking around with a camera taking pictures of the people like you would take pictures of like animals at the zoo. And she was like, I can't believe these are real people. And I think when you live here, you're desensitized,
Yes,
right?
there was one of everything at the pool and the boardwalk yesterday, and I'm here for it.
I would be down for that just for the people watching. And then
Mob,
the
we'll
drinking on
do
the pool.
a mob girls trip coming up soon. Dates to
That
be
would be
determined.
fun.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter's going off to college now, so now I feel like I have all the free time to do those things that I didn't do before. So I am down for all of that. Okay, so we're gonna pull up her wheel of interesting questions. Well, they may not be interesting. They're really just irrelevant questions. Okay.
Okay.
So they are completely irrelevant. That is the part of today. And so let me go ahead. I'm going to pull that up and then we will see what question you get. So let's share the screen. All right. Are you
Oh,
ready? I
there's a
don't even know
lot
if
of
there's any.
them. Oh gosh. Okay.
Yes, there's a lot of them. So some of them I will say are mine and some of them have been lovingly suggested.
Okay.
So if you've made a suggestion, your question may be on here. We'll see what comes up. Let's spin our
Oh.
wheel.
see what we got. They're so little.
One person you want to have dinner with. Okay, so I feel like this is a common one that a lot of people suggested. Let's remove this. This is a common one that a lot of people suggested, right? Because this is a question that I think you get asked a lot. Like, if you could have dinner with anybody, who would that be? But it's an irrelevant, but I think interesting question. And I guess we'll say that they could be dead, alive, or made up.
Ooh. Once you say they're dead, I got to choose my mom because I miss her more than eternity. But,
Mm.
and I'm just going to give it to you straight. I would have dinner with Biden's wife.
Oh, okay.
Just,
So I will say, I'm going to preface that we are not a political podcast or a religious because it divides people, but I'm going to go down this rabbit hole with you because I know Sarah is pretty conservative. So
yeah,
this is
I am.
interesting to me.
I just think it's the biggest dichotomy in my life right now.
Tell me more.
Well, because I think it's there's more. And you're like it's an onion and I only know the top.
Ooh, so there's a little conspiracy theory type thing going on here.
We'll let the comments have at it.
Okay. So I do want to circle back to your mom, but let's go down the Biden road. If you had dinner with her, what are the questions you would ask her?
Biden's wife? I think it's all about I would ask her probably more about her core values and her family and what does she want for her children. Because I think
Interesting.
as a mom, that's where us women need to really figure out how being the neck of the family is really going to steer the head of the family. And I think all of us women have a lot of power. And
So
we
it's
need
interesting.
to
That
use it
reminds
in the
me.
way that's going to better our children.
Okay, so you're more interested in the family dynamic than maybe the political dynamic.
Well, because I think they're hand in hand.
So I do say when people look at our choices a lot of times for like our nominees and they're like, this is the best. These are the only two people that we have. And we've been hearing this for a couple of years. So it's not just this election, right? One thing I always think is that somebody, because they're like, oh, they're narcissists. And I always think, but somebody who isn't slightly narcissistic or isn't slightly a little who's going to put their family in the public eye the way the media is now, the way that social media is to destroy people's lives, to cyberbully people, like anybody who I think really puts their family first and is very protective of that is never going to step in a political arena for that reason.
So
Right?
let's talk about that. I do
Yeah.
think that every extremely successful politician is an extreme narcissist with a wife that signed up and knew what they were signing up for. So, you know what? It's nice to see these power couples out there. It's nice to see people that can still annoy each other but rule the world. That's kind of reality and marriage, right? So, I don't know. It's nice to kind of see Trump's wife stick by his side. Like, he's a scumbag, but he's our best choice. So it's like, God bless the woman. I don't know. Marriage is hard. It's not like my husband is winning husband of the year. I'm sure as sugar not winning wife of the year. I think if everybody really looks at themselves, we're all weird and we all need a village around us to make us more relatable, more humble, and motivated. So, how many times do I say in my moms of business groups, we are the result of the 5 people we're hanging out with? Every single person should think about that. Every single person in this world. Who are we surrounding ourselves with? And do we want to emulate their behavior? Because that could be alarming or inspiring. So, no
So
matter
it's
what you
interesting.
do, no matter what journey, it's huge.
Sometimes I look at Jack and I go, you're the one I'm going to choose to annoy me the rest of my life. And then I think to him, I'm like, and I'm the one you're choosing to annoy you the rest of your life. And I will tell you, as women, we talk about this all the time. I don't know about you, but I wake up and I feel different every day. Like let me wake up out of bed and see who wakes up. Is it happy Tara? Is it angry Tara? Is it, annoyed Tara? Is it just tired Tara? And I don't know if I'm going through menopause or what it is, if it's getting worse as I'm getting older, but it's just
Oh, we
literally I
are.
wake up
It's happening.
sometimes and I'm like, oh, I'm super on, I'm super motivated. And other times I'm like, I hate you all. Like I just do. And I don't even know why. And so I said to him, I said, it's really hard. I wake up in the morning and sometimes I don't know who's going to wake up. And he goes, I feel the same way. He goes, I look at you and I think, who's going to wake up this morning?
But
And I'm like,
that's the crazy part of life. It's like
that has to be hard.
who annoys you the least and makes you laugh the most, but also turns you on. It's like,
Okay.
right?
Have we talked about this? Because I have a
I think
theory
we're
about the
gonna
laughter.
now.
No, I have a theory about the laughter.
Okay.
And so I'm all about laughter, right? For those of you who don't know, I have a book called Making Cancer Fun. It was all about how we used laughter when my daughter was going through cancer treatment when she was little. So I'm all about how laughter does incredible things to the body. It's what my TEDx talk is on, right? How it releases dopamines and stress, and how we could use it in the medical field. So this is my soapbox about how laughter is so good for you. And there's all these studies that people who laugh more and have a good sense of humor live longer, right? They live longer, they have a better quality of life. So I have a theory, totally not scientific, but if somebody wants to do a study on this, I'm all for it. You know what they ask women, what do you look for in a man, right? And usually one of the top things is a guy who can make me laugh, right? Like before money, before sex, before looks, it's like I want a guy who can make me laugh, a guy with a good personality. So my theory is this. Women, we know statistically outlive men. We live longer than men. But a man who laughs also statistically would then have a higher lifespan, because we know that the more somebody laughs, the better, longer longevity they have and everything. So on a very subconscious, like primitive level, we're seeking out a mate who will live the longest. And we know that people with a
Ooh.
good sense of humor live longer. But also, if he has a good sense of humor, he's going to make me laugh. You just said that, right? I heard you say a guy who makes me laugh,
It's
which
a
means,
mandatory. Yeah.
right. So that means I'll live longer because he's keeping me laughing. And so I think there's this psychological, subconscious, just biological, we seek out mates who are going to help us live the longest and they will live the longest. And that's why humor kind of trumps all of these other things when we're looking for a mate. Totally have no research to back that up, but it's my theory.
I ding ding ding. I support your theory.
So somebody do a study on that and then get back to me on those results. I want to
Put
know
it in
if
the
it's
comment
true.
section. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Well, this would be interesting if you're in a relationship, how important, like on a scale of 1 to 10, we'd love to hear how important is somebody's ability to make you laugh. I think that's huge, right? Even just with our friends. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the podcast. It's irrelevant questions. Why? Because life is worth laughing at. Like the world feels so serious sometimes. Um, so I also like the analogy you had about the woman in the head, because it reminds me of my big fat Greek wedding, where she talks about like the man's the head, but the woman is the neck. And I do think this is interesting that women don't realize, like they're saying, and Jack doesn't like it. He gets very like, when I say it, but I'm like, happy wife, happy life, right?
It that
And
that is what. How long have people been saying that? Because it is your reality. Because, like you said, depending on where we are in our hormonal life that month, my patience for you is different. My patience for myself is different. If I'm even slightly hot, I'm more angry because now I'm sweaty and now I'm really irritated. But in reality, we need to communicate kind of the standards in our relationship, but the
okay, so
laughter, the space, the respect, all of that is like mandatory. And you and Jack are great together.
so
And
let me
you
ask
are a
you,
good neck to his head.
yeah, Jack, I hope you're listening to this. um, so well, and it's funny because every time I think, oh my gosh, and I will say I've lived a long time as a single person. And I do think it's harder having been married in my 20s versus now in my 40s, right? I do think it's harder when you've been alone for so long and you're so used to your way. And I would say that's kind of for both of us.
Sure.
There'll be things in the kitchen is the battleground, right? like, he's like, why isn't it in this drawer? I'm like, because why would anybody put it in that drawer? That drawer doesn't make any sense. And he's like, that's the drawer it's been in for the last 5 years before you showed up. And I'm like, well, that was a stupid drawer to put it in. I mean, it's this kind of stuff, right? And
Hmm.
it's with the whole house. Like, he'll call me, he'll be like, where did you put this? Where did you put this? And I'm thinking, I put it in the logical place. And in his mind, he's like, but it was never there. That wasn't the logical place for me. So I think it's harder to adapt to somebody else when you've been on your own. Um, but I'm curious because I know this is your second marriage and you have a very good marriage and you've been very open about that. What do you think are some of the things that you've done either differently this time or you chose differently in a partner that has made this marriage so successful with your
Mm.
children?
Okay. Number one that has made my marriage breathe life is we really try to have sex every day. So my husband is a better person when he has had sex. I am happier, more enjoyable throughout the day when I have had a great orgasm to start my day. That's number one. Number two, I would say my husband and I talk a lot. I
During
talk.
sex?
No, I don't like that at all. I don't even want to look at your eyes sometimes. That's weird. No, we talk a lot. We spend a lot of time together. We talk on the phone several times a day. He knows where I am. I don't hide things from him. We're very open. Um, and number three, we keep separate bank accounts, but we do have a family credit card.
Okay, now this is interesting because I will
So
say money is
because
probably
finances were a big
huge.
problem in my first marriage, sex was a big problem in my first marriage, and I remember being like, listen, the only real difference between a best friend and a husband is someone who gets you off and provides for you. So those two things need to be ironed out.
So, do you think it was because you had a sexual incompatibility with your first husband, or do you think it's because you've made it more of a priority?
Both. Both.
Interesting.
Because Ross and I have always been extremely sexually compatible, but we never had as much sex as we do now.
What
And
what
we've been
changed?
together 9 years, like a couple weeks ago.
Well, I have to feel if there's any men listening to this, and I don't know about that because it's really geared towards women, but the men are all like, Sarah, talk to my wife. I can tell you that right now. They're all going to be like, or they're going to be men. If you are listening to this, I suggest you pass this episode on to your wife.
There you go. But you know what? I didn't come from this place. I was never this person. But you know what? I'm not gonna leave my husband. I really love him. He drives me nut bars, all caps. But he has all like those top things that we talked about. He has the little day-to-day things annoy me, but that's not my core. That's not, you know. So I want my marriage to function at its highest every day. I want to manifest a good day every day. So if that takes having, sorry guys, gonna keep it honest, 90 seconds of morning sex so that I have the best day ever, what woman wouldn't?
My sister-in-law and I talk about that, and I won't say too much for her privacy, but they've been together for a very, very long time. And I know that's one of the ways they've stayed together for so long. Yeah. Like it's huge. I
Yeah,
remember
imagine
years ago.
waking up so massively horny that your parts are so erect, and then somebody, your partner for life, is like, I'm tired. That's like us dripping, 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 and no one's gonna touch it. I would lose my noodles. What kind
So
of
years
mate
ago, Sarah,
ignores
I'm
that?
thinking it was her. I'm thinking it was now you. I listened to some radio show and I know exactly where I was because this was such a like, huh? I was listening to this radio show and they had this woman caller call in. And now I'm thinking it might have been you. She was saying how every single morning before her husband went to work, they had sex. And she specifically got up and woke up because he went to work like super early. And she would get up in the morning to make sure that they had sex before he went to work. And it was fascinating. All these people calling in. And of course, all these women calling in being like, this poor woman that she's having to get up and like service her husband. And of course, the men are like, we should continue. This should be the standard for everybody. And her line of thinking was, it was fascinating. She said, why would I send my husband super excited out into the world? She's like, I'm going to make sure that he's only thinking about me when he leaves the house. And of course, that was very controversial because people were like, well, you shouldn't have to do this just to make sure that your husband doesn't cheat.
It's not
And,
about
you know,
having to,
men
it's about
shouldn't be such
wanting to.
pigs.
I want to. Like, I want to. And then mornings that we don't, I'm like ravenous. Like at 2 p.m., I'm like, where are you? You know, it's our habit. That's our normal. So then it feels weird not to. Because when you make it a habit not to, that's not ideal.
Interesting. Now,
Right?
do you
If
think
it's
you
like
would
a habit to have sex once a week, what are you going to do to break the habit?
Well, I'm curious, do you think you would be that invested in that had you not had previously incompatibility in your first relationship?
No, because it's a conditioned response. I have now learned the benefits of what this new habit reaps me.
So you're like Pablo's dog.
Yeah.
So, what do you see as different from him that he gives you that benefits you because of your new habit?
Patience.
Interesting. All right, I want to go explore that more. What do you mean by that?
He's more patient. He's not, he doesn't jump off the handle so quickly. He's a little bit slower, a little bit kinder, just more patient. All the negative juju has escaped the body. The toxins have left. He's ready to live his best life.
So this is going to be interesting because Sarah has a beautiful little daughter who's like such her mini. It's so adorable. I'm like, wow, I can't wait for the marriage advice you're going to be passing on to your daughter.
Well, a lot of the marriage advice I'm giving you, my mom gave me. It just didn't sink in.
Really? So were
Yeah.
your parents? Did they? What kind of marriage did your parents have?
Both my parents had practice marriages. So that's what I call my first marriage, the practice marriage. Um, and I lost my mom when I was young. I was only 27. So a lot of like, or no, yeah, 27. So a lot of my, like the life lessons sometimes that she tried to instill upon me, because I'm the baby of 8, they, they, I still remember ones from when I was younger that will come into me in a dream or a memory or a this. But I
Hmm.
remember my mom always saying to me, if you're not having sex with your husband, someone else is. So these are
I
my
remember
top
you said
3
that to me.
lessons from my mother. These are my top 3 lessons from an Irish Italian mother who had 8 kids. If someone's not having sex with if you're not having sex with your husband, someone else is. Number 2, the only constant in life is change.
Mm,
And number 3, nothing in life is fair.
wow, that's it's so interesting because those last two, I just think how much easier life would be for all of us if those were our core beliefs. Like change is inevitable because none of us like change, right? We
Well,
all
I
run
do.
from change.
But I was raised to embrace change. I will change my hair color every year. I like different makeup. I like different outfits. I'll keep the same husband. I would move. I like a new car. I love change. I like to try a different meal every day. But some
But do you think?
people, they get like the same meal at McDonald's forever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people find comfort in familiarity, right? Like they want that same, but then when life does change, they struggle. I mean, that's what I talk about. That's the resilience. How do you build your resilience? Because everything's changing, and most people struggle with that. But also the concept of fair. And I was talking to my sister-in-law about this over the weekend because my nephew is a first child, and he's my soul child. He's very
Okay.
over dramatic. He is, you know, he is my soul child. I mean, he's having a fit and I'm like, I feel all of your emotions. And she's sometimes just like, oh my gosh, it's exhausting. And he's on a very big kick of what's fair. He cares a lot about justice. And
Mm,
I was like, again, I feel this to my core. So when you said that, I was like, oh, I would struggle with that. I would struggle with that. Things aren't fair. And then I'd be like, well, that's not fair that things aren't fair.
right. I've learned from a long time ago about like, if you want something, you have to work for it. I am a hard worker. I actually like to work for myself, not for other people, but I like to work. I like to be busy, I like to do things. I like to feel that sense of accomplishment.
Because you've done lots of different things. I feel like you have worn many hats.
Oh, and I want to wear more. I'm like an entrepreneur-aholic. Like, what else can I do? What else can I achieve? How can I shock myself? I also
So what
really
made you
like to learn.
what made you start Moms of Business? Because so that's really how you and I initially
Sure,
connected. You
yeah.
had this networking group. I was like, I'm really not interested in it.
Yeah, you were
I
like a
only
hard no. You were like,
Yeah, I was a very hard no. I was like, this isn't something that is going to be relevant for me. And quite openly, guys, when I joined Sarah's group, I joined because I had just published my book. I thought, well, this might be a way. I was getting into more of the with the professional speaking. I thought that might open some doors for me. But that's really not why I've stayed in your group. I've stayed in your group because the women are badass quality women. And I think sometimes we just need to have that girlfriend time. Just go out, have dinner, but have girlfriend time with the right girlfriends,
yeah, it's all
right?
about that village, like I talked about. I just felt like I had so many, and I still do, amazing qualities, great skill sets. I really can do awesome things in my lane, but I knew I needed help in other lanes. And I'm like, you know what? It would be really nice if we could have a community of moms that we are brought together to really help lift each other up without selling me your lipstick. I don't want to buy your lipstick. Ironically, I am wearing Mary Kay lipstick because we happen to become friends and I happen to really like this new pink nude lip liner, so I bought it. But that's the difference about the Moms of Business community is, and I say it's always about this order because I started it because I felt alone. I was breastfeeding. I wanted more for my life. I was a new stay-at-home mom 6+ years ago. And I was like, oh, I thought I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I actually do actually want to work and make a lot of money, but on my own time. So I monetized the Facebook group. Anybody can start a subscription-based business. It's easy to set up on Stripe or PayPal. Create a product that someone needs for $15, $25 a month and go with it. And that's what I did 6+ years later. Now, my business model has slightly changed. I've learned that I really like to do events. So I've kind of changed my business model as Moms of Business, where I host these really cool, awesome, big vendor events. I did the Mama Rama extravaganza this year at Blue Claws Stadium in Lakewood. I've got a really awesome big event coming up on Saturday, August 17th at the Jersey Shore Premium Outlets. I rented out the whole outlet center. I'm doing a huge back to school bash. So it's going to be, there'll be like DJ, kids entertainment. And then it's a great way for all my mobsters to showcase their small businesses. So it started as a Facebook group, but now it's a legit LLC with a massive $4 million insurance policy. And, we're just looking to make waves.
Well, I think this is really cool because I very much believe that women have a lot of these like dreams in their heart, things that they think about. And then right after that, they think, oh, but I can't, right? This is what would stop me. I don't have time. I don't have this. I don't have this. And there's a very interesting study that I read, and it was in the last year or two, about how women over 35 are lonelier than they've ever been in history. And it's interesting because we think social media keeps us so connected, but women are so isolated and they're so alone. And often when I hear this, I always think, well, just create what you want, right? If you feel alone, then go create what it is that you want. And that's what you did, right? You were like,
And
I'm
if
looking
you,
for this community.
half the people listening to this don't know how to do that, half the people will go and do it. And so here's my advice to the other half of you that are like, she makes it sound so easy. I don't know what to do. Listen, you need a business bestie, you need an accountability partner. So if you're going to escape the world of a job and not have a boss to keep you accountable, you're going to kind of have to create that for yourself. So I highly suggest, if you are looking to start something new, just don't do it alone. Just like you may not start working out and going to the gym alone, don't go and start your business alone and then wonder why it failed. So it's
Mm.
really good to surround yourself again with people who've done it before, who could pave you in the right direction. Tell you it's hard. Tell you some days, because you're going to wake up, like you said, you don't know who you are, and you're going to wake up with self-doubt. That's when I call my business bestie. We talk about stuff. I put on my favorite song, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a badass. What is my problem? I need to achieve my goals. So you need to really you need to understand and put in place how you're going to overcome the roadblocks, because every business encounters them. Think back to your wedding. Everything was put perfectly in place. How many things went wrong? A gabillion, right? So there's nothing, there's no different, that applies in everything. So just go into business surrounding yourself with people who you know and have proven themselves to be inspiring and actually know what they're talking about.
So how did you find your first business bestie?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I'm gonna tell you who it was. Her name is Jennifer. And I had reached out, and I want to say in like the Monmouth Moms, because I live in Monmouth County, New Jersey, um, group, and she was a stranger to me. And she was answering all these like tax questions I had. And I was like, check out girlfriend. I creeped on her on Facebook. She seemed like such an approachable, lovely mom. She lived in Colts Neck. Her husband owned a deli. And she just gave her time to me as a total stranger. And we really connected. And I wound up helping her. She was a really successful, like high-end assistant for a very successful woman in New York. But I always supported her deli. I always did everything I could for her. And she always supported me, kept me accountable, helped me write my business plan. Um, and it was really nice to have that. Since then, we've even had accountability groups in Moms of Business. If anybody wants to reach out to me and wants the step by steps on how to start an LLC in New Jersey, I'm happy to help you. You know, we have all these things now that help each other. But if I didn't have her and she was so nice to me, it was like a pay it forward.
Hmm. Well, I will say, so this is a good transition as we kind of finish up because, and I will personally vouch for your events are fabulous. I've been a member of Mobs now for a number of years, even, and I will say I've even moved out of Monmouth County and I've stayed a member of Mobs. I think that you actually give a lot to your members between what you offer in your Facebook group and the support that you offer there, but your events. Like Sarah will do just these fun girls' night dinners. And a lot of that's what I do. I'll drive down. I mean, I've driven an hour sometimes to go to them because, again, it goes back to who are you surrounding yourself with? And you want that connection, but you want to make sure you're making connections with people who are also energy givers and that you're going to
Mm,
leave feeling like a slightly better version of yourself than you walked in. Right. Because we all know that there's times we've gotten together and yeah, you might be hanging out with a group of women, but you go home and you feel drained. And
that's
I think what's
exactly it.
great with your events is that it's the opposite. You always leave feeling like I made a great connection. I just feel a little bit better about myself after being in your
Yes.
space. And you put on a lot of really fun events. And Sarah also does these huge, like you do an anniversary party every year. You do quite a lot of events, I think, for your members. You really do. So if you are in the New Jersey area, particularly Monmouth County, I know you have a really great gift for our listeners. So I'll let you share that.
Yes. So, Moms of Business membership is tiered, two different levels, either $15 or $25 a month. So I'm happy to offer all of our listeners a free month of our platinum membership. So it's only $25 a month. You can go to momsofbusiness.com. I know Tara will put all of my links in there, but check it out. Come join our community. Have fun with us. We're actually having I'm not sure when this will air, but we're having a naughty night out, like a keyport crawl along the water in July. And September is our Mobiversary Gala. October is going to be our Denim and Diamonds night out. So we're always doing some fun things. We always have our monthly coffee talks and photo shoots, and we like kind of get together and create content reels. You know, there's nothing I won't say no to. That's the best part about owning your own business, right, Tara? You get to pick who's on your podcast, and I get to pick the event. And if you're not a nice person, I will remove you from the group. It doesn't happen often, but the culture is really important to me. Like you said, we want energy givers, not takers. So,
Yeah.
energy givers, come find me, be my friend.
And I will say you also just will go live in your Facebook group and share great tips and things like that. So even if you don't think, oh, I'm not super local, maybe I wouldn't be able to go to those events, I would grab the free membership for a month just to even get in the group and check it out. You may find that, hey, I can't get to a lot of the events, but the women in the group and the connections in the group and the education I'm getting in the group are worth me being a member. And I will say that not as my guest, but as my friend, have been part of her group for a long time. And actually, quite openly, I don't think I'm a member of any other group that I pay for on a regular basis. I am out. I'm not. And I've been pretty stingy about that because a lot of times I feel like it either hasn't been worth the money for me or I'm not going to be able to show up regularly. And so I don't want to pay for something. So yours is really the only thing that I've stayed with for years as a member. So there you go, guys. You want to go check out her group. We'll put everything in the show notes underneath the video. You can check out the link. But thank you. I know you're on vacation, so I appreciate you hanging out with me this morning. I always have so much fun talking with you. And guys, if you liked today's episode, then we would absolutely love for you to subscribe. If you liked us even more, a review. If you didn't like us, you don't need to leave a review. And then join us next time with another interesting person for another irrelevant conversation because life really is worth laughing at. Bye, everybody.
Bye.